Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. Galveo.
And I'm Ms. Bromley.
Today we are working on the series of paragraphs.
To begin, we're very happy to be here.
In addition, I hope you've brought your workbooks.
And finally, get ready to learn.
In conclusion, it's series of paragraphs time.
Big parts of the literacy test is a series of paragraphs expressing your opinion. They're going to give you a question such as, are cell phones necessary in teenagers' lives? And they're going to ask you to structure the opinion that you have on that in a series of well-written, organized paragraphs.
Now you may be wondering, how can I be evaluated on my opinion, miss? Well, that's not what they're looking at. They're not looking at what you think. They're looking at how you think and how you're going to support your opinion with supporting details and specific personal examples. To help you out, we came up with an equation.
What do you mean?
Whoa. I was told there would be no math. I am scared of math. No offense to math, but equations make me scared.
No, it's not like that at all. This is what it will look like. Okay, let's look at the formula. First, we have the y over n. So at that point there, you know that you have to choose yes or no. You cannot sit on the fence for the series of paragraphs. Choose yes or no, and you do that by looking at your brainstorming after you have completed your T-chart. Your opinion statement must be clearly stated in your introduction paragraph. In your introduction paragraph, you're going to say, yes, I believe, or no, I do not believe, in regards to the question that you're being asked, and list your 2 reasons why. If we take a look at the brackets, you'll see there's a number 2 exponent. So for you math whizzes out there, you know that means that needs to be done twice. So for each reason, you must have 2 examples. So you'll have a total of 2 body paragraphs. And then plus C is your concluding paragraph. So that is where you are restating your opinion statement and summarizing your reasons. All right, everyone, turn to page 5 in your workbooks. And we're going to look at a completed exemplar in regards to the question. We've been looking at, are cell phones necessary in teenagers' lives?
If you have a question like that, here's the best way to begin. Brainstorm with a T-chart. This is what I do. You got your yes, and you got your no. I don't actually care what you really think. Just come up with arguments that you can do a good job talking about. So let's see here. Yes, they're necessary. Well, no, because they cost a fortune and not everyone can afford that. But yes, because people they think of safety. So, communicate with family, and that's a safety thing. So your parents can get a hold of you. Also, your social life happens on your phone too. And you know what? I'll be fair, fine. You can use it for homework. You can use it for research and all that stuff. That's bad. They cost a lot. People maybe rely on them too much. Like, what about talking in person, people? And also, fine, you can use them for homework, but let's be honest. They're also a major distraction in class. Distraction at home, distraction when you're driving. I'm going to go with no, and I'm going to use the same examples that our example paragraph in your booklet used. So she went with the fact, that student went with the fact that they cost a lot of money, and she did a paragraph about that. She also included the fact that they can be misused, and she did a paragraph about that. And this she didn't use, but she did go with distraction. She picked 3. We're going to see how these 3 arguments translated into a whole
After
series
you're
of paragraphs.
brainstorming of reasons, you have to look at each one and come up with supporting details or examples. Okay, so we're looking at our first reason, cell phones can cost a fortune. So let's think of 2 examples. One can be the apps that you download are expensive. And that could lead to an expensive cell phone bill. Okay, so another example could be why not use it for another cause, right? So maybe save your money instead for education or another cause. Remember, no matter how many reasons you choose, you still have to come up with at least 2 examples for each reason.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to say about this example, as an English teacher, is that it's not perfect, even though this student got a perfect score. Obviously, this student did a great job of organizing their ideas. They had very thorough arguments, and the literacy test people thought it was great. Excellent. But that doesn't mean that doing it different ways is wrong. Here's an example of one thing that they didn't do. They didn't use any transition words, or they used them very rarely. I like knowing if it's a first body paragraph, that it should begin with something like first of all, or to begin. It's legible, which is always a bonus. And one of the easiest things to do is to actually make sure you write a series of paragraphs. A paragraph begins when you indent it, and it's visible right away. This person's using a series of paragraphs. Their introduction lists their arguments that they're going to write about, because they talk about how cell phones are not necessary in teenagers' lives because they are distractions, they cost up to a fortune, and they can be misused in several ways. And then the arguments proceed in that exact order. So the first body paragraph is about the distraction factor. The next body paragraph is about them costing a fortune. And the last body paragraph is about how they can be misused. On the other hand, even though the student got a perfect score from the literacy test evaluator, there's a few things I think that they didn't do as well as they could have, believe it or not. For one thing, this student didn't really use transition words. The concluding paragraph doesn't begin with any kind of an overall or therefore transition statement. And even the body paragraphs don't use any kind of transition words to explain what order they're coming in. To begin, in addition, that sort of thing. That actually makes your writing easier, and it's easier to be organized if you use transition words. Transition words are your friend. Trust me, as an English teacher, trust me. Just a few more things to talk about. Another thing this student did really well that you are welcome to do is use rhetorical questions. So back in the introduction, one of the things she writes is teenagers in the past have done just as well without cell phones, so why do teenagers nowadays require cell phones? That question's a rhetorical question. It means she's asking it to sort of set up her point. You can do that. You're welcome to do that. There was actually a comment from the evaluator that that was a good thing. So feel free to do that. But this girl, or this student, actually wrote a lot. If you flip to the last page of it, down to about a millimeter of extra space. Remember, they're not marking anything past those lines. So it's possible to write less than this student did and stay more focused on your point. An example would be her very first sentence is a bit of a general opening statement. I think you should begin by getting right to the point. In this case, if I were writing the answer to this, my first sentence would be, teenagers nowadays absolutely do not need a cell phone. It means that no one has to wonder what I'm trying to prove because I've already said my statement very clearly. In that equation with yes or no, I've made it very clear that I'm saying no.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. This one is a toughie. To write a series of paragraphs, it takes a lot of work. You have to come up with 2 reasons and 2 examples for each reason on the spot. So we need to practice. So if you turn to page 8, take a look at your topic. Should teenagers have a part-time job? This is what you're working on for today's session. The outline that's provided for you on pages 9 and 10 is there to provide you with a guideline. So please do your T-chart first, decide yes or no. Should teenagers have a part-time job?
Unfortunately, you're not going to have this cool outline on your literacy test. That means you're going to have to sort of internalize that or kind of memorize the structure of how these paragraphs are supposed to go. We're glad it's here. Study from your booklet, but you're going to have to learn this one and be able to do it on your own.
So just memorize the equation, y over n bracket r plus 2e squared plus the conclusion plus c. That will help you. When you're ready, when you've completed the outline, turn to page 11. Look at the length that you have that's provided for you on page 11, and it goes until 12. This is the exact amount of space that you have on the day of the test.
And remember, if they can't read your writing, they can't mark your work. So make it legible.
Once you've completed your series of paragraphs, on page 13, we'd like you to complete the success criteria checklist. So just go through each one and just double check that you have done everything correctly. Good luck with your series of paragraphs.
Have fun writing them, guys. Bye.
Bye.